the leadership of the taxi industry, in particular order of protocol, the president of Sandton, Mr. Philip Tybosh, who's with us here today, the spokesperson of NTA, Mr. Theo Malele, the leadership of business present here that I've seen, that is with us here today, esteemed guests, the media, who without you will not be able to deliver this important message today. Ladies and gentlemen, today we officially launch the disbursement of the Taxi Relief Support Fund meant to ease the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the taxi industry. This is not in itself an answer to all the challenges the industry is facing, which we are grappling with and we are addressing, coming from a very successful taxi industry. What has delayed the disbursement, among others, so that we are very clear from the onset, is because the taxi industry came to me and then raised issues with regard to the conditions we put for the disbursement. And we have addressed all those conditions. You were a leader in this, among others. I need to single you out, and your team, with your leadership, the chairman of Amazulu. You came to my offices together with Santako, and then NTA came with a march, and then their march, they were saying all those things that I won't mention today, that include the razor and everything. For the media, please, off the record, cutting my testicles with a razor. So please don't put that on record. So the struggle continues, and all the challenges that we need to address will be addressed in terms of the taxi industry. Formalization, regulating the industry, building an economic empowerment model long-lasting for the taxi industry, and also addressing issues of unity. Among others, we've got an eminent persons group that we have appointed to address some of these challenges. Transport is the backbone of the economy, from local public transport to global supply chains. Transport brings opportunities to the poor, and it enables economies to be competitive, links producers to markets, workers to jobs, students to schools, and the sick to hospitals. The loss of revenue during the lockdown for the various transport modes presented an economic challenge as transport operators experienced an unexpected shortfall in their finances. The taxi industry was no exception to this reality. Public transport operations were halted due to both domestic and international travel prohibitions. Public transport operators, among others, faced reduced demand as their operating hours and passenger capacity were restricted. These measures adversely affected the income of both operators and employees operating public transport services. During Alert Level 5, taxis were prohibited to operate. At Alert Level 4 and 3, operations were halted with a 70% restriction on carrying capacity. When most sectors of the economy opened up in level 3, demand for public transport remained very low. Almost 20% or more of the taxi industry experienced total loss of income, particularly the long-distance and cross-border operators, as a result of the closure of international borders and the exhibition and the prohibition of the interprovincial travel. It is a harsh reality that that transport sector has not escaped the devastation of COVID-19 pandemic, and many people have been left unemployed and struggling to make ends meet. Despite the odds, our people have remained resilient and hopeful that our collective efforts will sufficiently reignite the economy in order for them to put bread on the table. There are a number of relief interventions, except this one, that have been introduced by government. Among others was the 350. Who knew that the 350 was an important intervention to our people? I mean, it is next to nothing. 350. And these were some of the interventions that we are announcing the disbursement of this 1 billion rand plus, among many other interventions. It's not only the taxi industry that was affected, hospitality. If you cross the street, you go to Sandton, popular hotel there called Michelangelo, is closed. And across the other street, there's another one. People were affected. If you go to the airport, you will see the disaster. This was brought about by COVID-19. We're back now, trying to crawl back into business. And with vaccine, we hope to open up the economy in a big way. There are people who are basically saying to some of our people in the country that do not vaccinate. It's not going to help. And yet you compare yourselves with United Kingdom, with United States. United States and United Kingdom, when you see them opening up the stadiums the way they do, is because their communities have fully vaccinated. We have not vaccinated a larger group of our populace, and vaccination is for free. Sustainable economic reconstruction and recovery interventions that support sustainable livelihoods and create new opportunities is a singular commitment that gives impetus to all our intervention. We talk about the social compact with business, labor, and government. Remember, the responsibility to create jobs does not lie with government, it lies with the private sector. Government responsibilities to create an enabling environment to ensure that industries mushroom and they pick up in a big way. And that is what we seek to do in this year, going forward. This ex gratia disbursement of relief fund for the taxi industry, we know it's not enough for what the industry has suffered. There are many questions other people ask, and we answer. A relief is a relief, Bandwagit. It's not an answer to problems and challenges that we face. The fact that we have NTA and Santaco, and we have challenges of unity in the industry, that goes back, dates back many years. You would have seen today there when we opened the center there. There's Kafulana already. Kunzima. But I want to thank Ntate Bosch as a president of Santaco. who consistently remind me about who is Santako and where do you come from, in terms of the breakup that we've got in the industry with the NTA on its own. I also want to thank Ntate Malele, who has come here and represent NTA. This is your money. It goes to the industry as a whole. And that is what is very important for me. Madoda, ningasibulali. It is important, this gesture from us. It's not a resolution to all the challenges that we face. We have a program of action to implement and address a number of challenges that we're facing. Sispili, the CEO of NEF, was saying, hey, Minister, himo bang a problem, diti aingu a problem, hime ndikuzisele a problem. Uslelele kamnandi. So it's not a problem. So I want to thank her also, and the NEF, as of today, in all the 9 provinces, from the center that we are at, we're looking at wrapping up this process by March. That industry people need to come up and then come and claim what is due for themselves. Sispili will speak about the details, I think, for the media, about how this money is going to be disbursed. In terms of the detail and so on. We have had a survey that was conducted by State SA. This survey reveals a transport landscape that has shifted from the last survey done in 2013 in a fundamental way. We use these surveys to guide our interventions and allocation of resources such as this responsive disbursement we are doing today. The survey reveals that there's been a general increase in the number of people who use taxis from 9.8 million in 2013 to 11.4 million in 2020. It is also important to note that nationally, we have 7.6% of South Africans who rely on this mode of transport and who believe that the taxis are too expensive. It is equally worth noting that the taxi industry remains the mode of choice for most public transport users, with 80.2% of workers using taxis, which is an increase of 12.6% from 67.7% in 2013. This is the context against which a once-off relief fund to the value of 1.135 billion rand was allocated for the benefit of the taxi industry. The relief funding is intended to mitigate the negative financial impact of COVID-19 on the industry without compensating for the loss of income, but rather based on the principle of an ex gratia payment. Relief is intended for all minibus operators, meter taxis, and e-hailing partners. Reference to e-hailing partners refers to those South Africans who use the e-hailing platform to provide a taxi service and not the corporate entities such as Uber or Bolt. Following engagements with the taxi industry and taking due regard to relevant matters raised by the courts, we therefore gazetted the conditions for operators to qualify for this support on 2nd December 2021. In order to qualify for this support, operators must meet the following requirements. 1, an applicant must be a South African citizen or a permanent resident. 2, they must be in possession of a valid operating license or a receipt as a proof of renewal issued on or before the date of the declaration of the national state of disaster. This is applicable only in instances where the operating license has not been subsequently issued by the relevant provincial regulatory entity. 3, the applicant must be registered with the South African Revenue Services as a taxpayer. We believe that the disbursement process we are launching today is a stepping stone towards the transformation of and formalization of the taxi industry. While this is a once-off ex gratia payment, it is a demonstration of the seriousness with which we take the role of the taxi industry in the broader public transport value chain. Other people in the public discourse were saying, why do you give taxi people any relief because they don't pay tax and all of that? So you are taking our money, you give it to people who don't pay tax. Now, these are ignorant South Africans we live with, and some of them we tweet amongst them on Twitter. They are there. You know, it's like into yokyelwa xa uyindoda umuntu ongamaziyo uyatyelwa nje sisirhama somuntu nje uqhuba nawe ungumfazi uyatyelwa indoda yakho ngumuntu ongamaziyo uyabona uyaqhuba nje ningayifaki ke emaphepheni lento ni mute lento endiyithethayo. So it's like uTwitter tatutayiposh uTwitter phakathi kwezibhani uyabona nabantu abangakhathaleli into but uyatwitter nje uTwitter ngumuntu okuthukayo ohleli apha next door ku uzibiza nje ngegama ongalaziyo. So even them who say that no, but why do you relieve the taxi industry? We have to relieve them, MEC, because the taxi industry is the backbone. It's the only industry we don't support in terms of business relief. We give money. They are going to ask, why are you not giving the bus industry? The bus industry is already beneficiary from government in terms of financial support. We give them money to transport people in and around. And that is why, as a Minister of Transport, I am now reviewing the subsidy for public transport. Is going to be the first. And part of the relief is going to focus on supporting the taxi industry. You see, the survey says the taxi industry is expensive. That is the survey. Our people are feeling the pinch. But I am going to support the working class for the first time, subsidize the industry, taxi industry, so that the people can use taxis without feeling the pinch, because taxis now will be subsidized. That's what we're going to do when we talk about economic empowerment. So I'm answering them going forward in terms of what we need to do. We anticipate, okay, wrong. We anticipate that if we are to reach all eligible operators, calculated on the basis of the 137,000 legal minibus taxis on our system, 25,000 meter taxis, 1,900 cross-border taxis, and approximately 63,188 e-hailing partners, Each operator will qualify for a quantum of 5,000 rand relief. The disbursement of these funds to individual operators will be done, like I said, through the National Empowerment Fund, NEF. We have appointed the NEF as the implementing agent of this process, and they have worked tirelessly to put systems in place to enable the release of funds to thousands of eligible operators. We have just opened, as you will have seen, one of the centers where the disbursement will be done by 65 recruited, trained ex-graduates in our country, unemployed. We will be mending 8, and with this one, 9 centers in the country. We are equally grateful that through this project, the NEF has recruited 65 young people from the ranks of our unemployed graduates who will gain invaluable experience. These young men and women who will be assisting operators through the application process and ensure that every person who meets the requirement receives their portion of the fund. The application process of the relief fund is premised on a web-based system, which will be accessed via the department's website. Applications will be completed online by the operator or via the assistance of a call agent. Industry leadership structures, taxi associations, and cooperatives will also play a key role in providing support to their members and disseminating information. The call center is reachable via a toll-free number, and operators will be able to either call or send an SMS with their identification number. And a call center agent will call the operator to assist telephonically with the online application. I know there are a lot of scams that are out there. They are going to take their chances to try and scam this operation, but we are ready for them. And I hope when we conclude this process, Sispili, we will not be scammed. Because by Tata Shame chance, you have won a ticket to go and watch a match in England. You have this and that. And our people fall for those scams. They just fall for scams. Please, don't fall for any scam, taxi operators. Just ensure that you help us to get this money to get to the right people. Today, we therefore open the call center to start taking applications for the relief support fund and disbursement to all qualifying operators. Taxi operators must use the information to begin the application process. Call center toll-free number 0800 201 971. SMS 45864. Let me repeat again. The website you visit is at transport, www.transport.gov. The call center number is toll-free 0800 201 971. SMS 45864. I've given you a call center also for potholes, but you don't report potholes on that call center in order to close them. Niyashwabula nje, niyandithuka nje cha pha ku Twitter. Instead of reporting potholes, niyashwabula. I've given you, can you post again on Department of Transport. The call center for potholes is different from this one. You see, when you see a pothole, as in Nzimane Joburg, potholes, I saw them myself when I was driving myself last night. Potholes. But I launched a pothole program with the mayor who was removed here in Joburg. But I think the new mayor also, we are working together. Wherever you see a pothole, report it, they will come and close it. Everywhere, even throughout the country. And I've got the Sihamba Sonke project to build new roads. And in certain provinces, people have stolen money that was meant to build roads. Abayiki imali hlangomlenze indlela ayipheli, and then kuthukwa mna kuthi kawukhangela uMbalula into ayaziyo ku Twitter indlela ziphelile. Yet I've given money, lots of billions of rands, but people are chowing it, and the hawks bapokotele nje balungise ibhrukwe zabo ababambi ezizikrelemnqa zitya imali karhulumente. Arrest these thugs. Make an example. Arrest them. Person given a tender and then not implementing. The system for it to show that it is biting. Arrest these criminals. That's what we need to do. Don't wait. Just arrest. Mhlekazi, mvuse kuseni. Dicho elele noba kunkazana or inkazana ilele kumvuse apho. Arrest these criminals. Just ngolela pa ku Twitter, Facebook, everywhere, person demonstrating cars like Floyd Mayweather. Kanti izimoto zobusela. Arrest the bastard and the cars. Indoda jika ngemoto tatu type Bosch. Ingakwazi explain ukuthi how did he pay for it? Investigate him. Say, this is easy delivery. Person has delivered himself to the state. Diboneli namdi corner. Nice delivery. Nice cars there, delivery. Arrest. He has called for himself to be investigated. Where does he get the money to buy the cars? That's the first investigating point. And now we have the taxi relief fund. Let it not be scammed. I've got also a hotline on potholes and money to build a number of roads, rebuild them, and close the potholes in local government. We launched here with Mwerani, and the new mayor must also build on that with the private sector. Close the potholes in the areas where people live. Our people have lived in potholes for the longest of time in the townships. We must close them. It's correct.
Minister of Transport Fikile Mbalula using very flowery language there, but talking about the taxi support fund, and we'll endeavor to get more details on that.